things before we get started. We are in the process of planning our classes to continue throughout the year. And so if you have any real specific titles or even suggestions of people that you have seen in other classes that, you know, maybe we should contact, if you'll write that down for us this time on your evaluation sheet, that'll be very helpful for us for future classes. So, without further ado, my friend and guru, Sandy Ratliff.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for hosting these. Well, good afternoon. Come on now, I want a little interaction today.
Good afternoon,
This is something
Sandy.
that I work in almost on my waking hours, is working in with cloud services, because if you're doing much, and especially if you're like me, I'm on the road all the time, and the cloud has saved me so many times in being able to get access to documents when somebody will be coming back from someplace and somebody calls me and says, Sandy, can you send me blank? Well, I don't carry a big old hard drive or flash drive around with me. I can just send it to them, send them a link on a cloud service, and we can go from there. How many of you all are using cloud services now?
Who needs backup?
Y'all use any kind of cloud?
I have a Dropbox, I think.
Yeah. Who has a Gmail account? If you have a Gmail account, you have access to 15 gigabyte of free storage for your Gmail account. It's there through Google Drive. And you can just log on using your Gmail credentials and go from there. But today I want to just kind of go over what the cloud is, how you can use it in your daily interactions. But one of the things I like is when I upload it to whatever service, I have access to it to any of my devices, either it be my tablet, my laptop, or my iPhone, or if I'm visiting with my mother and I get on her iPad, I still have access to any of my cloud files on the go. First of all, when the cloud, it's amazing, probably 10 years ago, we didn't even know anything about what this cloud thing is. And it's really redefining how businesses are operating today. No matter if you're big or small, people are using the cloud more and more, and I can see that continuing to grow. One of the things that businesses, and this is a Harvard Review survey, that they surveyed businesses and asked them, how are you using the cloud and what's it doing to help you? 52% said the cloud has helped them be more responsive to customers. An example of that, and I've had a client do this who has an iPad, and what he's able to do is he can go, and he has a pest control business. Before, he would just have to do an estimate longhand, and then work it up when he got back to his business, and then send it back to them, and that could be 24 hours or 48 hours turnaround time. Now, using cloud services, because what he has is his estimation software up in the cloud, so all he has to do when he's at that customer's house is plug in the information, the dimensions, the square feet, and so forth, and do an estimate right in the field. And, oh, you like this? So while that customer is hot and ready to do it, all he has to do is say, okay, right here, let's sign this contract. And he can do that right when that customer is anxious versus waiting them to kind of cool off in 24 hours or 48 hours. And that's helped them. Another thing is 41% said that they primarily use private clouds, and some businesses have their own servers that they do clouds for. These are for larger operations, but that's something that you can look at depending on the size of your organization. 74% said cloud has increased their competitive advantage, which again, to me, is being able to respond to customers right on the spot than having to say, well, let me look that up and let me get back to you. Every time you do that, to me, how that customer looks at you and being able to respond has a lot to do with your reputation and how they feel about you. And that's something that I really feel closely about. 67% said that saves them money. How many of you all have your computer died and your hard drive, everything that you had on your hard drive's gone? Which means all of your customers' information is gone. Databases that spent years is all gone. Or that you have, does anybody use external hard drives? Do you? How about flash drives? And then have you ever had that feeling when you've lost that flash drive that had that important information that you were getting ready to do that presentation on and you've lost it? Think about it. But that's not the real reason that people are introduced or accepting the cloud is because it's really improving their way of doing business, because they can be more reactive, and that helps them when they're meeting with their customers, because I don't care what kind of business you are in, you have some type of competition. And the faster that you can react and respond to your customers, that increases your competitiveness twofold. It's also helping them be more innovative, but the biggest thing is helping them to reduce costs. And that's what it's all about in small business, is how do I do more for less? And this is how you can look at it for the cloud. So again, cloud services, and you've heard the term cloud, and it's not, we sure had a lot of clouds in the last 2 days with all this rain. But basically what the cloud is instead of you carrying that external hard drive or that flash drive with you, it's sitting up on a third-party server someplace. Which means all you do is go to that website. It could be www.dropbox.com. You log into your login and password. These are things that you've set up. And then you have access to that data. No matter where you're at, whatever kind of device you're using, as long as you have internet access, you have it. And businesses are doing more and more of the cloud. They're reducing the amount of servers they have and putting more things in the cloud. Because most of the time, when you upload data to a cloud service, they are copied, and for redundancy part, they're up into like 5 different servers in different parts of the country. So it means if you've lost that flash drive, you're not lost. You have at least 4 other opportunities that you're going to be able to access your data. So why use it? Accessibility, convenience, affordability, and you can pretty much have all the storage space you want. The thing is, there's so much out there that you can do for free. And I tell you, I use this daily I serve 23 counties in Southwest Virginia, and I'm doing tons of projects, programs, and so forth, and I couldn't make it without it, because it allows me to have access to that information while on the go. So you're wondering, oh, what does that mean? Well, just hang on and let me explain more of how this can help you and impact your business. Accessibility. Again, I can't stress it enough. When you have a customer and you want to access data right on the spot with them, you have it at any time, no matter what your device is. And that's a pretty good thing when having to wait to get back to the office. And it's also private. Unless you share your login and password, nobody else can have access to your data up there.
And it's real secure?
Yes. You go and look, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's probably more secure, well, I feel like it is, and then, again, if you lost your flash drive, or if you walk out of your office and somebody breaks in, they have access to all your data. With this, you can even have redundant login passwords that you can have extra steps in accessing your data if you want. They've made this extremely secure. Just you can go to the internet and do searches on what's the percentage of folks' cloud services accounts being hacked into. It's pretty low compared.
What? How many people can you have, like, within your company that's allowed to log into this?
Well, I'm going to give you more details,
I'm
but basically you can have the account, and I can allow Kathy to share either one file, which if you scan that QR code that I have on the card there, that'll give you the presentation, but that's actually sitting on a cloud service. And what I have done is upload it to a cloud, and I'm allowing you to share just access to that one file out of the hundreds that I have up there. You can't access anything else but that one. However, if we're working on a project together and I say, well, I want you all to have access to the whole file, the whole folder that has all the various documents and so forth, that as we move forward, you can have access to it so they don't have to micromanage. I do that all the time for projects that we're working on. For example, when we're doing this new knowledge series, I have a folder up on Dropbox. Kathy, Jennifer, and Nina have access to that because I allowed them, I gave them access. And they log in with their credentials, and they can go for it, access it, upload documents, or download. Affordability. I'm going to show you some ideas of how, as I mentioned earlier, you can have, if you've got a Gmail account, you have access to 15 gigabytes. Imagine how much that is. You remember when we first started getting those flash drives, you only had, what was it, about, it was less than 2 megabytes just starting out. Now they've gone to gigabytes, but that's a lot of information, 15 gigabytes. And if you have multiple Gmail accounts, keep adding on to that, and you have access to that. And it's also been a way for businesses to cut costs. Jennifer was just telling me this morning about one of the tenants here in the incubator that they are now doing away with all their servers and everything is up in the cloud now. That means they have access to it, which means if a server goes down, they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to spend $800 to $1,000 for a new server. Probably what they spend on cloud service is probably about 25% of that. And then they have access to it and they can grow from there. Ample storage, one of the things I like too, and if any of you all that have iOS devices and you work with iCloud, you'll know that sometimes you run out of space on your device. So you go with Apple and say, well, I want to add on to my iCloud account. You can add 20 gigabyte, or you can do 200 gigabyte, or you can do terabytes. And they will charge you based on the increments of how much you want to have in memory. And that's one of the things on the cloud that makes it more advantageous than having to go to Best Buy and buy another hard drive. And those are not cheap either, depending on the size you get. You could spend $99 for a 2 terabyte cloud account, or device. Plus, if you do a lot on your PC, you can also use cloud to have it programmed to where it'll automatically back up your PCs. As long as you've got good internet, you have access to that. That's the key. Remember, the cloud is everything is up on the internet. So you have to have internet some way, either data plan on your phone or you're on a Wi-Fi wherever you're at to be able to access it. Some various types of cloud services that you can look at. You mentioned Dropbox is probably one of the earlier users of the cloud services. iCloud on iOS devices. There's Google. There's Box.net. If you scan that QR code, that'll take you to Box.net. Which with that one you get 10 gigabyte of free storage when you sign up for an account. Again, that's a lot of storage free. And then how many of you all have used cloud services like YouTube, Netflix? That's all information that's out in the cloud through the internet. And then music services, Pandora. Do you use listen to iRadio on your phone? That's all going through a cloud service. And then there's social cloud. You've heard of this thing called Facebook, right? That's all in the cloud that you're accessing. Twitter, SlideShare. And then there's also for note-taking and so forth, if you have tablets, a lot of people are using services like Evernote, which means you're taking a note on one device and you can access it on your PC or any other device, and because it's all sitting up on a cloud service up there that you have access to. And some businesses too are using for customer relationship management, they're using a service called Salesforce. Again, no matter where any of their salespeople are, they're putting in the comments and the information about their clients, and it's all going up and populating onto a cloud service, which is Salesforce. And they're using their apps, their PCs or what have you, but it's all populating that into a cloud. Questions?
No, I was gonna say too, I didn't see it up there, but depending on what kind of information you need to keep, there's lots of database companies that you can actually do online databases and get cloud databases too, so you can keep any kind of record if you don't wanna use something like Salesforce.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's even accounting software on there where you can do your invoices, keep your books all right there. Kashu's one of them. There is, can't remember the other, there's several out there. And a lot of them, when you start signing up, it's free for so much, so many accounts.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot that are free, even some of the ones that corporations pay a lot of money for, so you get the benefit of the security, so you get the benefit of the security that all the other companies get, plus you get a free account until you grow to a certain point. So if you just start the business, it's a really good way to do it. You go on and set up your free database, you can tailor it to what you need to keep track of. And then when you grow to a certain point, you start paying for it, but they'll let you get started without having a lot of upfront costs.
How many of y'all use QuickBooks? Do you know QuickBooks now is offering it all online? We were just talking about that a couple of days ago, because one of the sessions that we're gonna do is gonna be multiple sessions, and our next group of new knowledges is going to be on using QuickBooks. And part of that is the online version of how you can use it. We're gonna have three or four sessions on that coming up. So let's go exploring the cloud. Okay, who's got iOS devices? Are you familiar with iCloud? That's by Apple, and basically what the advantage of that is, I have 6 devices that are connected to my Apple account. And I can take a picture with one device, and I can see them on all the other ones. Same way if I'm working on a document, I could be working on a presentation document, and something happened with this iPad. Well, it's saved up through iCloud, and now I can access it on one of the other iPads, or I can access it on iCloud.com through my PC. It's easy to set up, and basically when you set up an iOS device, you have an iCloud account, which gives you access to 5,000 gigabyte of free storage. And it goes fast, trust me. iCloud is running on your iPhone, your iPad, your iPod Touch devices. And again, I like it because it's syncing. And a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to have a Mac computer to access your iCloud. All you have to do is go on your PC, go to your web browser and type in iCloud.com, log into your Apple account, and you have access to photos that you have in your library, email, all of that you can access. Here's an example. This is what you have access to when you go to iCloud.com on your PC. You can access your mail, all your contacts, so which means you've got all that updated, and you can access those contacts. You put, depending on how you set up your device, you can add a new contact on one, and it's going to be able to see on the other, or you want to access it on your PC. Your calendar, put that in there once, and you have access to it, and it's going to send you those reminders on all your devices.
Not when it's full.
Pardon me?
Not when it's full.
True, we all go through that. That's why I said Apple will be happy to. They just give you enough to really get you sold on the idea, and then you run out of storage, and you start adding, because we keep adding apps and so forth, and it runs out of space pretty darn quick.
Well, I took a different avenue, but I think I have multiple backups on one PC now of the pictures, but I don't want anything to happen to, plus up there.
In the cloud. Yep, yeah. That's where she meant when she raised it there. Is it in the cloud? Another thing I like too, does anybody use their Find My Phone feature on your iPhone? When you've lost it, it's fallen between the couch cushions and you can't find it, you can just log on to your iCloud.com, hit find my iPhone, and if you've got this turned on your device, then it'll show you exactly where your device is located at, which comes in handy if it should ever be borrowed by somebody with no intention of bringing it back.
So it'll find it in the neighborhood, but not necessarily where you lost it in the house.
Well, it's supposed to, but now sometimes it depends on how I know what you're talking about.
At least you know that it's in the house.
Somewhere near that, okay, that's a good point.
Yeah, and notes, does anybody use notes on their devices? I do that all the time, which again, if I might put a recipe in one, then it'll show up on my mother's iPad, which is all part of my, all on my one Apple account. Another thing I really use a lot, is I do all my presentations and brochures using Keynote and Pages. And one of the things I like is if there's something wrong with the network printer that I have in the office and I can't print directly from my iPad, all I have to do is go to the iCloud, bring it up in Keynote, and I can download that presentation in PowerPoint on my PC, because it'll automatically convert that from Keynote to PowerPoint, and then I can print it. And that's a sweet thing to have. I've already gone through that. If you delete the email in one, you don't have to go to each device and delete it. It's all synced. Same way with your calendar. And then Dropbox. I know you mentioned you use Dropbox. Anybody else use Dropbox? I know Nita and Kathy does. I've been using Dropbox probably for the past 8 years. And this came in, and how I really was forced to use it. I do a lot of partnered events with Virginia Tourism Corporation, People Incorporated, the Small Business Development Center networks, and so forth. We're doing this series called Entrepreneur Express. And it got to where we were doing so much that it was just killing me on having to send emails back and forth. They send me their slides. I have to, do the editing. They will email me, Sandy, what's the latest registration list? And we knew that it had to be a better service because most of the time our presentations are so large that our email providers would not support it. They would just too large to send. So I came across Dropbox. Someone told me about trying it. And you get 2 GB of free storage when you set up a Dropbox account. So what I did was I went and set up a Dropbox account and then invited all the partners to share that folder. And one of the things about Dropbox, even though they give you only 2 GB to start out, is every time that I invited somebody to share that folder and they set up a Dropbox account, which is free, then that gives me they give me automatically additional storage to go onto my Dropbox account. So I probably have 7 to 8 GB of storage on that I've not had to pay for. It's just that through the years I've invited people, and every time, again, that you add somebody to your account.
Do an invite.
Yeah, and you do it like when I would share, if I share a link to you through an email, and when you click on that, it'll automatically know that came from my account. And when you set up, it shows that you don't have a Dropbox account and you go set up one, then it will send me an invite to that. Okay? And then when you set it up, it's going to show me that, oh, by the way,
I need you to do this for me so I can have more space, and that way you can have.
no, I don't tell them that part.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't tell them that part. No, I have some. I have shared it.
Because I figured that then they would do the same for themselves, and that way it would increase their.
Yeah, they can too. Now, we can't not all in the same folder. They have one on their account,
Right.
or however they set up folders. Anybody else use Dropbox and have any experiences? Quite a bunch today, busy eating. Again, it's cloud-based. It works on all devices, no matter what you have. All you have to do is either download the app on your device, depends on what kind of device you have, or you can even use your Safari or your whatever browser you're using on your device. Go to Dropbox.com, log into your credentials, and there's all your folders. You have access to it. And you can also have it to automatically sync. I have it set to automatically sync as a, if you're talking about you want to keep those pictures that you have, I have it automatically synced that whenever I take a picture and on my device, it'll automatically send that up to a upload photos folder up on my Dropbox, and you can set that up.
Or ask you,
Pardon me?
or ask you if we have trouble.
Well, you can. And again, Dropbox is just basically a virtual storage. It's a third-party vendor that you set up with. It syncs across devices. You can have tons and tons of folders. I wouldn't know how much I have saved now up on Dropbox because I was running out of space there, and now are paying for additional. I think I have 1 terabyte, and it's pretty cheap, about $120 a year, which that's better than buying a hard drive and having to worry keeping that up and carry that hard drive with me. I know I can access that information from any device. Some other things that you can have is you can, if you're using the apps on your devices, now Dropbox bought Cloud On. If anybody ever used Cloud On to create and edit Word documents or Excel or PowerPoint, now since Dropbox owns that, you can actually open up from your Dropbox an Excel or a Word document and finish editing that right from your device on Dropbox, which is an added feature that came out. It was official last month in March, the rotation. The other thing too, have you ever deleted something and realized, oh gosh, I deleted the wrong file? Well, Dropbox will save that in another place on their server for 30 days. So if you ever have that oops moment, you'll always be able to access it on your account. And if you don't know how to set up one, you just go to Dropbox.com and set up an account. You can either do it through your, no, this one doesn't do it through Facebook, so many do, but all you have to do is give it an email and a password, and now you're set up. And then when you've got it set up, you can also download on your PC a Dropbox software that will automatically just basically it creates another fake hard drive on your computer so that when you're working on something, instead of having to go to Dropbox.com and upload it that way, all you have to do is tell it to save it into your Dropbox folder and it's automatically there. It automatically syncs them. So as you open that document again and do something else on it, as you're working on it, it's automatically syncing that. So that you don't have to again have that aha moment, oh man, I forgot to hit save and I lost my data. And we've all had that fear before. Kind of how it works. And here's a sample of my folders through Dropbox that I have access to them. So if there's something with your computer because you can't download unauthorized software, you paperclip, make any changes to your slides and upload it back to that database, and they have access to it. I can see this as your business starts growing and you're hiring people, that would be a great way that you can keep everything that takes away some of the having to babysit or, micromanage, that they can upload or download any documents, make their changes, and then re-upload them. I can see that would be a major savings. Also, just like I did today on this presentation, if I've got a document, it could be a Keynote or a PDF document, and I want to share it with you, and just share the link. Then when I hit that, I can tell it I want to email that to you, and what it does is it sends an email to you with that link, and you have access to it, either to the whole folder or just one file in that folder. Now be wary of who you share it with, and if something happens and you are in a business relationship and something happens with that and you don't want them to have access to that folder, you can always go in there, log on, and look at who you're sharing folders with, and you can take someone off that's sharing that. So you can take them off of that and they can't access it anymore. And that's one of those things that people just forget about. Oh no, I forgot to take them off after they stormed out of the office. But it's something to think about. Again, you can share folders, and also if I want to see, well, when did Nita last connect to that folder or look at that file, just so I can say, well, you know, I've had this happen, well, I didn't look at it, and all I have to do is go into my, not to Nita, but someone else I worked with at another agency. It said, I didn't look at it. All I have to do is go into my events, and it will show me, because I've shared that folder with them, it'll show me when they looked at it, the date and the time. So I have that record that, yes, you did. You did download that. And I have the record for it. So you always will be able to see what's happening to your shared folders.
So, can I just ask?
Okay.
So if you're doing a training session with your employees,
Uh-huh.
you can put that training session in there, have them log in, and you can see whether or not they've completed their training.
What you would do is you would upload that to a folder. You would invite them via the emails to share that folder with you, because you would need that. And now, all you'd have to do is then go and find out under your events periodically to see when they downloaded, and if it's an entire folder, when they downloaded it, like a specific file. It could be new knowledge, mobile marketing workshop, you know, from last fall. I could see when Jennifer, if she accessed it just the last 2 days, I could see when she accessed it.
You
So
can't
that would
tell.
give you a record.
Yeah, you can't tell if they've actually, let's say,
Can't tell what?
you can't tell if they've actually watched the video or something, but you can tell if they clicked on it, if they opened it.
But it'll also tell me if she downloaded it.
Right.
So if it's a video, then they would have had to download it.
You can just tell them there will be a test.
Sorry?
You can just tell them there will be a test.
Yes. But that's better than going into the black hole and you never know if they viewed it or not. You at least have some record that they at least opened the file.
Sounds like a more affordable way to start than buying training sessions and paying that party for that training, and then, you know, cheaper stuff,
Mhm.
what they do it that way.
You at least have a record, then you send it in a mail, and you never know if it's reached them for one thing, and then if they've opened it.
Yeah.
Opened it. Anybody else use it that way? Jerry use it?
No, I haven't for anything, but I mean, it seems interesting. What you could do at the end of your video, you could put some kind of code word or something like that, have them email you once it's done. You know, I mean, really,
Yeah.
not saying they couldn't skip to the end of it, but why go through all that trouble with it?
Well, that's true, but, you know, I don't know.
It's
Something to
hard
think
without, I know what you're talking about. You can have one that manages all of it, that will tell you when they complete the course, actually, watch the whole thing.
That's the whole
But
thing.
that costs a lot more.
It does.
And besides that, you get to a certain point that you just can't legislate everything. You know, you give people opportunity and, you know, whether it be a test or whatever, you know, you just can't ensure that you're making people do whatever it is that they're supposed to do.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
People do have to, we're supposed to be professionals, we do have to take a little responsibility for our activities, right? Again, you can share folders, and if you forget, well, did I share that folder with Randy Rose? I can go there and look at my sharing, and it'll show me all my folders that I have and who I'm sharing them with. And that's a good thing too, when you maybe that person that you're not working with anymore, and maybe you forgot that you are sharing multiple folders on your Dropbox account with them, you ought to go on there and just review them. And it's a good thing periodically just to go and look to see who's on there and what.
And they can only see the ones that you've asked them to share with you.
Yes,
Can't
They
see
can't
everything you're working on.
no. Just as long as it's, you know, if you're sharing a folder with them, then you want to create another folder that's just for you.
They can't see.
No, the only thing they can see is the one folder or the one file that you've sent to them. Same way, you know, when you're talking about that video, you might just wanna share just the video link, not the entire folder in that project. Depends on whatever you're working
You
on.
pick and choose.
Yes. But it's great to have that flexibility and for free. And again, I mentioned you can kick someone out, so when you find this group, and I wanna see on this group, this folder, I can see who's sharing it, and then all I have to do is I can either kick them out, or maybe it's somebody and I've decided to move away from that project, and I'm gonna turn it over to Jennifer to manage. Then what I can do is make Jennifer the owner of that folder, which means she has access to be able to share it with someone else or to kick them off the island from us. And again, it's just some things that you might want to think about when you are sharing or making changes on it is, you know, be careful who you're sharing it with. No, you don't want to just randomly send it to somebody and they have access to, especially if it's something that's confidential information that they shouldn't have. If you by chance happen to rename the folder, well, when you rename it, they don't have access to it, or they may be, when they're looking at the, they have access to it, but they might, when they go down there looking at their list of Dropbox folders, they won't see the usual name and they won't know where it's at, so it will confuse them. You know, if you move folders, that's another thing. You can look at all of this. And sometimes there could be a little glitch if you're working on a file the same time they are, depending on, again, if I'm using it on my iPad and Nita gets on it and we're both making changes at the very same time to that file, then you might see some, well, my change didn't take. So you need to think of those kind of things. Again, you can collaborate with a lot of people, I really like, and don't forget, you don't have to panic if it's deleted by somebody else. You have 30 days that you can go and find that file and put it back. If one of the folks that you shared it with accidentally deletes it, it's happened, or deleted the wrong one, the wrong version, happened to me, then I can always go back during that 30-day period and make the changes and put the correct one up there. Questions? There'll be a test after this. And it'll be an essays. Some other things too, you can also look, and you can hide files that maybe you uploaded something to a folder that you're sharing with somebody else, but you maybe have a file on there that you don't want someone to see. You can actually then hide that specific file in that folder. You can see also, if you're doing a lot of changes, you can see which version is up there. You have time within that 30-day period to see what version that you're working on of a specific file. And when it was changed last. All of that is right there on your account. And again, as I mentioned, if you send somebody an invitation and they're not a Facebook or a Dropbox user, and they set up a account, then you will get credit, and Dropbox will send you additional storage to your account, which is pretty nice. And again, I have my devices set up that when I take a picture or a video, it automatically uploads that to a folder up on Dropbox that I don't have to worry about. And I do encourage people to do that. If you start running out of space on your iCloud account, just do that. Then check to see if it's up there on your Dropbox account, and then you can start deleting it from your device to free up. I just had to do that this week. I was running low on space. And then this is how you set it up. You just put your camera on if you're using your device, you can just then turn on your camera upload and tell it whatever the folder name you want to use, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's doing it. Any other questions on Dropbox? Probably my next favorite, no, it's become my favorite now, is Google Drive. Who uses Google Drive? Okay, if you wanna take over this portion, just come on with that. The thing about Google Drive is you're not just getting the 15 gigabyte of free storage. You're also getting so much more. If you wanna create a document, you wanna create a form, you want to do a video call with multiple parties, you have so much other things you can do with that 15 gigabyte and that Gmail account. That's amazing. What it is, it's just basically, it's another storage where you can store documents and photos and videos. It's where you can access it just like Dropbox is. But again, I have access where I can use Google Docs. I can create spreadsheets, forms, slides, presentations, all right there. And as I'm working on them, they are being saved into my Google Drive account, folders, wherever I have. Have you all used Google Drive? If you start using it, you'll love it. And you can also buy additional space if you need to on your Google Drive account. Some of the features, again, you get 15 gigabyte of free storage, and you're going to be able to access it no matter what kind of device, platform that you're going to be accessing it at. Either it be a Mac, a Droid, you've got access to it. And I love the built-in Office suite. Actually, complete that, or if you do it, scan the QR code. Do we have a QR code?
Yes.
You've got if they scan that, if you can't scan the QR code and complete it on your device, it's automatically going up and populating a spreadsheet on Google Drive on an account. That we don't have to key in anything. It's automatically populating all that information, which is sweet, and it's free. And I do that on my weekly reports I created since July, every week. Instead of having to do a long form or anything and do individual, I just keep adding on, and for each week, it's putting another line on that spreadsheet of all my activities, how many meetings, how many presentations, events, how many people participated, how many counseling sessions, even the mileage that I put on my car, my assigned car. I have all of that. And anytime, if somebody says, well, Sandy, how many counseling sessions have you done since July? All I have to do is go to that form, and just that one column, I can tell you exactly how many that I've done. And that takes away so much time and paperwork and headache to where I'll have to get back to you. It could be a couple of days before I can calculate all that. Have to dig all those papers out. Hey, do you use something like that? Do you do anything like that, Jerry?
Some I use it mainly for backup, for pictures and stuff like that, but I have used it before for we can do document sharing on it too, so to collaborate with clients or actually partners in other cities to do documents. A long time ago, before it's as good as it is now, so.
And that would be good too, if you've got multiple people out in the field and they're filling out a form, and you want to populate all that, you're doing it for a reason. Instead of you having to, and if they've got the device to do it, instead of they sit on it, doing it on paper, and then you have to go in and key in it, is allow them to fill it out online while they're with that client or making that sales call. And as soon as they hit send, it's populating that onto your database, and you're able to keep all of that, and you're able to keep that current. So if you're the manager, at the end of the day, you might want to say, well, I want to see how many sales calls my folks did, and I'd love to know how much sales that we've generated today. You've got it right there, and it just takes a few minutes to set up your form, and you got it. Been there, done that. And it's great too you can actually even, if you scan that QR code and bring it up on your device, you'll see I even did a custom header on it, and it's a real clean way to do it. You just fill out each little line. It's super, and as soon as you create your main form, then it fixes the spreadsheet based on the form you've created. Have you used it before?
It's great.
That's an amen, right?
Amen.
And you can keep it public or private, whatever folder or file that you're working on, that's up to you. Also, if you've got some large files, maybe there's 2 or 3 files that you need to send to somebody, and you know that it's going to kill their email that you're sending it to, you can also, there's a feature in Google Drive that you can zip files to reduce the size of them. So that's an option that's built in that Dropbox does not do. Again, you can share between Gmail accounts. You keep things private. You can also, even if somebody does not have a Gmail account, they can also access it. It doesn't matter what they are. They can access those files if you send them the link. They can download those. So if it's a Word document and you're sending it to them from your Google Drive, and maybe Kathy doesn't have a Google Drive yet.
It's on my computer.
Okay, then she can still access those files. Because that's sometimes you have to worry about, do they have it on their device? That's one of the things I love about Dropbox and Google Drive. It doesn't matter what platform you're using. They work on all of them. So how do you use it? This is a sample of my Google Drive account. That shows all of my documents and so forth, and you can also create special folders where you want to do that Martha Stewart thing and kind of clean up your drive so that you can manage it easily. Come on, work. And so I might want to share and access a specific file, and I can move those any way I want. If I want to move this file up onto one of those folders, I can. I just click on it and then just drag it up to add to it. It also shows you how much memory you've used, which I like that. So I see, gosh, I need to start thinking about moving some things maybe to another platform or another one of my many Gmail accounts. You've got that option so that at the last minute you're not going to say, and there's an important document you need to upload and you can't, you don't want that message to come. You'll always be able to tell how much. Or buy more storage option. You have that. And you can also, if you've trashed something and you did it by mistake, all you have to do is just like on your PC, you can hit your trash and go for it and access it and bring it back up. Come on, work.
Well, now, if you don't empty out your trash, you're using part of your storage data, aren't you?
Again, you can open up any of your folders, just double click it, and here's one of a bunch of pictures and videos that I've taken. This is actually one that from our church. And I can save or I can share any of those folders with them, which I do with the minister and the secretary so that they have access to it. Come on, work. And if I want to open that up, come on. Again, I can share the link with them that they can access that file. I can also invite them to share the folder. They can also they can just preview it. If I want to see what's in it, I can't remember what that was about. If I want to open it up, I can hit preview. I can remove it. I can do all that right there and I can also create a link where I can send that then to you and then you have access to it. And then there's some more things that you can do with it too. Let's say that I want to move it to another folder. I can do that. I can view the details, or if I want to download that onto my iPhone, iPad, or my desktop, I can download that file right there. My graphics are slow for some reason. Some other things you can do with it, when you're going to go back to your drive, then if you want to create a new folder, maybe you're starting on a new project and you need to have a new folder. So all you have to do is either create new, or I want to add additional pictures to that one folder, or videos, I can upload to specific folders. You do it from right there. Am I going too fast? Following? Okay.
So can you set it to all automatically upload everything, like your pictures in your phone?
I haven't done that, but I suspect that there is set up. Have you?
You can, yeah. Every picture I take automatically goes to Google Drive.
Remember though, you got 15 gigabytes, so you'll have to keep watch.
Yeah.
Sometimes, what I do is for my multiple Gmail accounts, I keep that by the project, so sometimes it's a pain, but I know that if it's something to do with the new knowledge, that'll go up into the new knowledge Gmail account that we can access. So you gotta manage your stuff. Some other cloud services, Box.net is another one that I've fallen in love with. One thing I like about that too is if I have created a link and I want to share that specific file with you, then I can actually create a custom file link, which is box.net/new knowledge cloud services. And then when you start sending that to someone, or if you're putting it on a flyer or so forth, that makes it look a little better than all those ZQ215, which makes no sense whatsoever. You can do so many of those with your account. But you get 10 gigabyte of free storage, and again, it'll tell you how much storage you've used. Come on. And I can share a folder or a file. Do it all right there in it. And when you hit this this tab, what it will do is it'll open up more information so that, like today, after this workshop, and I make changes to this presentation and I want to re-upload it to that same file, which means everybody I've shared the link to, they will be able to access those changes. All I have to do is tell it to upload a new version, and it'll upload that directly to that specific file that I created, which to me is very helpful. You can add it to your favorites, and in some devices, when you have it in your favorites, that means it'll be on your device, and you can open it up and have it without having internet access. Sometimes that's a pain if you're out somewhere and you don't have a data plan and you've got that sample of an ad or something you want to share with somebody, then if you have it in your favorites, you're going to have it right on your.
Well, now, back up just a minute. When you said that you have reworked it and you're saving it, it's rewriting the one you had.
Yes, it's saving over it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like because I do my stuff in Keynote, not on the app for Google Drive, then all I have to do is upload the new version and just tell it that I want to upload a new version. And it's putting it right in that.
It's just like if we were in Word and we save. Okay.
Yeah. And remember the things that I said that I love about Google, all these other free Office product software that you have access to. You can, maybe I want to create a note, or I want to create a new Google Doc, which is basically your word processing. Word, you can create it. I want to do a spreadsheet. Maybe I want to keep up with, you're doing, having an event at the farmer's market and you want to keep up with registration or sales activity, you can do it there. And in Word, PowerPoint, or Excel, it's all right there now built in. And then has anybody ever heard of OneDrive? OneDrive's owned by Microsoft. I've been using it for a couple years. It's pretty easy. Pretty easy to use. And it'll also tell me how much space I still have available on my account. And if I've deleted something by mistake, I can access it from the recycle bin. And it's got where I can open it up in Word online and make changes to it, or I want to create a new document, a Word document. And again, since I'm logged in under my account, as I'm working on it, it's making those changes. I don't have to keep worried about saving it all the time. And I can upload new documents open it in Word, I can download it, or I can share the link with anybody. That went too fast, sorry about that. I didn't put a whole lot of time in this because they work all the same way. Anybody use OneDrive? Jerry, you used it? It's pretty good. Sometimes they have deals too that, with Microsoft, if you set up a OneDrive account, it might be that they'll, instead of 15, it's 30 gigabyte free, which that's what I did was when I saw one of those specials they had, I got it when it was, set up my account when it was at 30 gigabyte free. So basically, there's a lot of free that you can do a whole lot with your business using these free cloud services, no matter what the needs are. Now, I always get this question, is it safe? Well, there's some things that you might want to think about when you're setting it up to keep it safe, your data. Is having unique passwords. Don't have the same password you use on all your platforms. This is you can even encrypt it, and there's some software that allow you to do that. And you can also, through whatever service, you can look to see if they offer encryption services on your data. This seems like crazy to have to mention it, but whatever you're uploading to it, if you're doing it from your PC and you have a virus on your PC, that means you're uploading that to your folder up on your cloud service. So you need to keep your software, virus software, updated on your PC or whatever you're using. You can use two-factor authentication, which means when you're uploading or you're accessing your account, it'll do one step, might be your login and password, and then the second step could be what's your first dog or the first car you had, or you know how you do that. You can do those two-party or two-factor authentications if you're really, really nervous. If it's something that is really, really, really important, back it up in someplace else too. If you're paranoid about it, use
3 backups to be safe.
So you can have it on your PC, you can have it on an external hard drive, you can have it on, one's on Google Drive and the other one's on OneDrive. It's up to you. Pardon me?
DVDs.
Yes, you can do it that way. And there's some times where we all have to do a little house cleaning, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing, and I've had to do that on a bunch of photos and videos I had saved on my iPad, and I started running out of space, and I thought, gosh, that was forever ago that I took those pictures or did that. So sometimes it takes that we have to do a little house cleaning. So if you got a second, you might want to do that, like my graphic on my vacuum cleaner. The other part of it is you need to educate yourself on your provider. Is go on their website, go and do a Google search on whatever cloud service provider you're going with. If it be Google Drive, or if it be Dropbox.net, or Box.net, or Dropbox, is go and find out. Look and see how many, if they have had any failures or hacking. Is educate yourself on who they are and what they do. And also, most importantly, is where's your data living at? You know, again, I mentioned earlier, if you upload it once, most of the time they are actually backed up into 4 to 5 different servers in different parts of the country. Find out how your cloud service provider is backing up their information. And the infrastructure, again, find out the technology they're using. Find out everything if you're paranoid about it. And then think about the future. If it's somebody that looks like it's a fly-by-night, you might be a little bit more concerned versus somebody like a Dropbox or a Microsoft that's behind OneDrive or Google. When you're uploading your data and keeping it, you want to make sure that whoever your provider is pretty. Your costs, I don't have to replace my hard. The storage capacity, as you grow, your space can grow, and it may cost you 5 different servers in different parts of the country than my one hard drive. Because when my hard drive goes, or if a water pipe busts and my office is flooded, been there, done that, then I don't have to worry about losing anything. And that helped me a lot because I had so much of my important data up on Dropbox when my computer was ruined. I didn't really lose a whole lot because I had my important stuff up in the cloud services. And it's free for maintenance, and it will also, again, it's going to increase your performance. No matter where you're at, you're going to be able to access your data as long as you have internet access. That's the key. You say it won't work, we'll check to see if you're online.
But if the
And-
internet is down that day, you
Pardon
don't
me?
have access, correct?
I'm sorry?
If the internet is down that day.
Yeah, it's all internet based. And if there's ever, any questions on cloud? That was a very brief overview. But you feel a little bit more about cloud? Questions about it?
I personally, the cloud's great and all the stuff that you can do with that too, but depending on what your business is, there's other companies that everything you do, you can do through a cloud-based kind of system, and really the fees are not that much whenever you factor in the cost of what it would cost you to keep it in-house. So there's a lot of stuff you can outsource like that, database-wise, that it's definitely, it's better to pay somebody, if you gotta pay them $80 a month to keep your database secure, that keeps databases secure for Coca-Cola and Comcast and Fortune 500 companies that already have all the security measures built in. So whenever you're paying them that much to house your database and it's all accessible through a cloud, then it's just look at those options is all I'm saying.
Yeah, is there any specific needs you have? Because there's a good group of people that's got experience that you could ask us as you're growing your business. I know I'm catching you off guard, but this is a great opportunity if there's.
I just opened my Google Drive. I'll always run down to the office saying that I messed up. And apparently your Gmail password has to be your Drive password, because I just passed.
Yeah, it goes through your Google, your Gmail.
I just
account.
changed my Drive password and it says my phone can't get anywhere else. So
Yes,
it
it's
has
all
to be
matched.
my.
It's all matched.
Okay.
You have one Google or a Gmail account, and all the other stuff that you're accessing,
All goes through it.
yeah.
Oh, you're saying that uses the same password?
Yes,
For
if it's
login?
if you have a Gmail address, it just changed.
That's why you can have a bunch of different Drive accounts, because every email address you have has its own separate Drive account.
Right. And it's just that one issue, if you don't write it down, how good is your memory?
Be careful where you write it too. Somebody might find it. But yeah, it all works with whatever your Gmail email address is, that's your login, and then your password is whatever your Gmail is. Is there any needs that you have that we didn't address? It's all right there. It's free. What do you all in the back? What kind of business do y'all do?
I just recently retired and I'm here to expand my knowledge.
Horizons.
Something I came in from, in looking at this, of course, being involved in public service, we had issues. There were certain measures had to be in place as far as protecting data. You're on emergency medical service call, now you've got patient information.
Yeah.
And federal law says you have to protect it in certain aspects. Really be nice if some of this could come into play because servers are very expensive.
Mm-hmm. You can right there,
Check
sir.
out Caspi. Seriously.
Oh, I've retired, so it's not
So you're not doing it,
my, not my zoo, not my animals anymore.
Yeah. Jeff, you want to share what the tenant shared with you this morning, what they're doing? You're changing out?
One of our tenants shared with us shared with me this morning that their servers are on the cloud, but also their phone system that they offer small businesses are also in the cloud. They go through the cloud. So it's very inexpensive for small businesses.
Again, you don't have, from a small business standpoint, you're not having to buy all of this hardware and in some cases software that, again, just like Google Drive, it's all built into the whole Gmail, the whole Google experience.
I wonder how it's gonna fact the internet service with the announcement that they made that the government has taken steps to be able to cut off cell service at any time.
Well, that would be if I'm out on the go and I'm connecting using my data plan on my iPad, then if they cut my data plan off or I can't access it, then I'm kind of locked.
Yeah, I could see that with the cell towers, but you know, like where you have the landlines, the DSL lines and so forth, I wonder how that will affect those.
They've been watching us for a long time. They know what we're doing. Big brother.
They could already cut it off, just because they passed law, it just tells you.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that they hamper calls when there's presidential flights over our area. There'll be times when there's no cell service, and that's the reason.
They, as I say, they can do what they want when they want. Any other? Anybody want to share anything for the cause? I will mention that in 2 weeks, our speaker is Carl Knoblich with the SBA in Richmond, and we've had a lot of people request this, and he's going to do a presentation session on crowdsource funding. And I'm anxious to it because that's something that I don't know anything about and I want to learn about. Because I always are working with small businesses and maybe they don't qualify or they can't get enough from a commercial lender and they need to get access a little bit more funding sources for their business or startup or existing business. So he's going to share all the ins and outs about crowdsource funding. So I encourage you on the 22nd to participate in this and tell somebody we ought to have this room full for this one because I think this is a hot topic and you've heard of Kickstarter, you know, anybody here saw last year about the person that did a Kickstarter campaign to make potato salad and the amount of money that they were able to source for their expansion of their just doing potato salad, I think it was what, $50,000 just to do potato salad. And they did that through a program like Kickstarter.
Will you be recording that one, because I will be out of town that week?
That's our goal is to,
Okay,
is
because
to be able to.
that is one, we had a conversation about that this weekend. And we have some family with deep pockets, and I mentioned that, and the other member of my group was negative about it, and I said, it's just a good way to get working capital.
Now, and Kathy and I briefly had this discussion last night about, you know, you could set up a campaign, but how you market it is the biggest part of it. And if you'll just go on YouTube and look at some of the Kickstarter campaigns, I mean, this guy that had this cooler, and he designed this cooler that does not just for keeping your beer cold, but you could charge your iPhone. You could play your music off your iPhone because it had a speaker built in. I mean, it had all kinds of neat stuff. And they put a really impressive video up on YouTube, and that's when they contacted you for interest in maybe investing in their company, then they could send it. I mean, there's one thing you tell me what you do, but then when you can present it in a video or so forth, that's when it really gets hold. But Carl came to Virginia last fall, moved here from Pennsylvania, and has been in the SBA environment for years and has helped a lot of businesses up in Pennsylvania before he came here. So I'm anxious in 2 weeks, the 22nd, to hear that one. And it's Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm too. The one thing that I've noticed, I actually got an invitation from somebody to participate in their crowdsource funding. And their request told me how it was going to benefit them, but not what it was really going to do for my,
Bank account.
And so I think that's something that, you know, we might, if we can find somebody to do a class on it, but you know, if you're trying to sell anything, salesmanship period, you
What's
don't
in it for me?
sell it by you know, I don't sell you that car by saying, Now, if you buy this car from me, I'm gonna make a 15% commission on it. You say, if you buy this car, you're gonna save money on gas, you're gonna have a smooth ride, you're not gonna hear any. But instead of talking about the benefits that others would get from it, and then when you went on through the website, you could see what you would get for certain levels of contributions, but
That should be in the forefront.
it should have been the first thing that was said instead of, like, I would have flipped that myself. I would have told somebody how it would benefit them,
So are you
and then what
declining,
I was gonna do with it.
so you're declining that invitation, right?
No, I actually know, and I probably won't, but I'll probably accept it, but it took a long time to find what my options were, if I were gonna contribute.
A lot of them, you have to give the contributors something for their contribution.
Right, that's what I'm saying, you
Yeah.
always have to.
So, but what she's saying is up front, give them that, what's in it for me versus what's in it for them. And then she had to go looking into it on her own to figure out what's in it for me, what's my return. And I've noticed, I don't know about anybody else, but nonprofits now are going the crowdsource funding a lot because maybe they were receiving state and federal funding and that's been cut so severely, so they've got to make up the difference somehow, so they're using crowdsource funding.
Well, I can tell you, Susan Howard used crowdsource funding to finish the mural on that building downtown. And she got the money for it from crowdsourcing. So it works. People really do care about their communities, but you have to, your sales, as
What's
Sandy
in it for
says,
me?
your elevator pitch, but your sales pitch has to be what is foremost in the information. But now Susan got actually more than she needed, and so she was able to put it toward the next project.
And even when you're doing that sales pitch and everything that I do, all my stuff is somehow in the cloud. Remember YouTube, all of those videos are out in the cloud that you have access to it on the internet.
Speaking of YouTube, how do you upload videos to YouTube?
On what? On
your
your computer or on your tablet?
Move it from the tablet to YouTube. I was trying to read up on it last night. And, the first time you read anything, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'll try and read it again. But I wasn't finding a good, simple explanation on how to do this. Plus, I've come across an issue that I can't play certain YouTube pictures because this thing says it's in safe mode. I don't know how to get it on the safe mode, and I haven't been able to find a good explanation on how to get it out of safe mode.
I did not know that the iPad had a safe mode.
Well, I didn't, apparently there is. It has something to do with an upgrade.
I've never had that happen, but now on my iPad, the way I do it, because I do it weekly, is if you've got the video in your photos, all you have to do is I bring up the iPhone or the YouTube app, I'm gonna log into my credentials, and I go under my channel, and then when it comes up on my channel, it says upload. And
Okay,
then-
so you just have to set up an account and it's kind of.
And you use your Gmail account because YouTube is owned by Gmail. And see, that's another thing, they're in everything.
Oh, okay.
So Google owns YouTube, so all you have to do is go into YouTube on the app.
It's really not for me. Angela has some pictures of her horse, and we were trying to see how we could get it up so she could put it on TV. And she's bound to have some apparatus on her TV that'll let her access YouTube, just most
It's
all
smart,
of them
either
do.
smart TV or your Apple TV, I can do it either one.
She doesn't have an Apple, and I told her, I said, well,
Maybe it's a smart TV, she's gonna have to have either one, or she'll have to plug it in, she'll have to get a, accessory that she can hook that into her HDMI port on her.
my DVD player lets you access YouTube. I can access YouTube through my DVD player, because I have a dumb TV. I didn't want a smart one.
I don't know, after I've started using one of those smart TVs, that's pretty neat. Any questions? Did you pick up any tips that you're gonna be able to use, cloud more into your daily activities?
Yes, ma'am, I have figured out how to set the Google Drive up to automatically upload my picture.
Well, that was worth it.
That was worth it.
If there's ever anything I can do, my office is down the hall. You know, our agency, the Department of Small Business, Supplier Diversity, we do a variety of things. If you're looking for capital, we have the Virginia Small Business Financing Authority. We also, one of our strong suits is helping people get access to state procurement. We do the SWAM program, which is the Small Woman and Minority Owned program. We do the certification, and we also do the new micro business certification program.
So you have an office in this building?
At the end of the hall,
Okay.
but it's really in a Chevrolet somewhere on 81, 23 counties. Then we also do a lot of training and one-on-one counseling.
Okay.
And we have, I will note, one of the things too that people don't realize that we have a business call center called the Virginia Business Information Center. It's an 800 number you can call and talk to one of our professionals. If you have ever a question about doing business in Virginia, you know, if you have a tax question, or I'm starting a business in such and such, what are the steps to whatever it is, call our 800 number. It's a great resource there for Virginia businesses. Any other questions? Here's my contact information. Thank you, and I hope to see you at more events. And please, when you fill out that evaluation, we're really serious. If you've got an idea for more training that we could do, or if you want to do a training program here, we're welcome to listen, and because we want to provide value to you, and you can't beat the price, just bring your lunch and join us for an hour and a half. And, you know, we couldn't do it without the chamber